Alright, I'm just gonna make sure that the audio is coming through here and everything's rolling. Give me 1 second. Audio's coming through here and everything's rolling. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so lots of updates on this mysterious virus, right? Lots of questions. Everybody's got lots of questions. And I think the most pressing question on everybody's mind is, how bad is it? Or how bad is it gonna be? And that, well, unfortunately, something not many or very few people have the answer to. So we're going to start. This here is one of the bigger issues right now, and it's you know, this is expected. With the cruise ship, there has been a couple of deaths from the people that were on there. And as soon as I figured out like the age demographic on there, it's mostly older people. It's mix and match kind of, but it is more of a predominantly 50 to 80 plus, right? So yeah, they're obviously not going to be able to fight this off as good as somebody else, but you know, that's a question for debate as well. You know, does this, you know, how it is, it's so many questions about how lethal this is, and if there's different mutations of it, you know, because there's even scientists now that are saying, you know, we probably have a mutation in the bunch somewhere, and especially with these super spreaders that, you know, everybody's talking about. Super spreaders, they call it, you know, an anomaly, and they still don't know how it works really. But you have these people who are very infectious, like overly infectious, who shed more virus than the average person would. And most times, you know, like they're little to no symptoms while doing this, so they don't know how bad it is. But anyway, we're gonna go right into this here and a little news update. So yeah, 620 plus confirmed, and we know the accuracy of these tests as well is not the greatest. And yeah, we can get into that later as well. So anyways, let's just check this out.
Now tested positive, including 47 Canadians. As Mike Armstrong reports, one infectious disease expert says things were so bad he was scared to be on board.
With more passengers testing positive every day, there's been no question something went wrong with the quarantine on the Diamond Princess.
I can't bear with it. I can't bear with it.
Well, this is a video posted to YouTube by a Japanese infectious diseases expert. Kentaro Iwata was on the ship Tuesday and calls it chaotic. Iwata says over and over he saw things that could spread the virus. People wearing protective gloves, eating or using cell phones, papers carried from room to room. He says he's worked on cholera, SARS, and Ebola, and this experience is the first time he's been frightened.
Inside Princess Diamond, I was so scared. I was so scared of getting COVID-19 because there was no way to tell where the virus is.
We took Iwata's complaints to a Montreal infectious diseases expert. Dr. Chan Liang calls it alarming. He says the theory has been that the virus may have spread in the ventilation system.
If it's because of the protocols were not respected, were not properly implemented, then there is no excuse for that to happen.
With the 14-day quarantine period wrapping up, foreign nationals are now being moved off the ship. Australia and Hong Kong picked people up today. They'll be quarantined in their home countries again. But Japanese citizens who haven't tested positive are now free to leave. Dr. Liang says that's a mistake, considering there are still new cases on the ship every day.
They shouldn't be free. They should be monitored further.
A plane is now in Japan to pick up Canadians from the ship. They'll be screened Thursday and likely head home Friday for another quarantine. Dr. Liang says this group is more at risk than the group that was brought back from China.
I strongly believe that there would be positive cases from that group.
You're not beating around the bush. You just said strongly.
I think, believe there will be positive cases.
Mike Armstrong, Global News, Montreal.
That's just crazy. You know, like we all knew the cruise ship was a disaster. I think anybody with a half a brain knew that, but it was so weird. The whole thing, how it happened, and there's a lot of mystery shrouded in it. You know, military was involved, not just the healthcare. Like, of course, they have to secure the situation, but you know, they had a pretty heavy presence there. And yeah, the U.S. did a really weird move. You know, like the whole time they were supporting, you know, the quarantine. You know, saying, well, you know, Japan's doing the right thing, and we should follow this quarantine. And then all of a sudden they just do this about face, and out of nowhere pull off one of the fastest evacuations we've seen yet during this. So it's there's a lot of questions, right? Yeah. But now, another big thing in the news is China has now again changed the way that they diagnose or screen for this test. Or virus, I guess. So they've gone back to the original way, you know, by using the PCR test, which is, you know, the laboratory test. And it's, you know, it's longer, it's more costly, it's not accurate. We know that. Like PCR tests. Let's just go get some information here. Polymerase chain reaction is a PCR, right? So PCR, basically what it does is they're going to be able to make a lot of the virus in this method. You know, they can take a little bit out of a sample and make, you know, a whole bunch of copies of it really fast and analyze it. And that's great, but there is downfalls to this, because it's not actually the greatest. And so this is basically the principles of a PCR test is it amplifies a specific region of DNA strand. Most PCR methods amplify fragments between 0 and 10 kilobase pairs per length. So it's just a way that they amplify it, right? They take a little bit of sample, they put it in this solution, and it grows really fast. And then they're able to, you know, with all those more samples, they're able to, you know, do better diagnosis, because they can't really do it with the tiny little ones they got, right? So they have to amplify it so they can get a better handle on it. Now, the tests that had issues, well, they all have issues, but the ones that had the biggest issues lately was because, you know, they had faulty tests, and the reason why was because of this buffer solution. That's, you know, the whole kit wasn't useless, but basically it is. It's kind of like a car without a battery. It's not going to start for you. And that's what this solution is. It's very vital to the whole process, right? And this buffer solution. So yeah, it helps with this process, right? And it's needed. And this buffer solution was, in fact, not not made right or whatever. So now they got to make a new batch of this, and it's gonna take time. I'm not sure even if they still made a new batch, because I don't know, but there's a lot of hiccups through this, big ones. So let's just go down and see the main. Actually, what did I highlight here? Infectious disease applications. Okay, so yeah, if we're using this method, like there's different methods for using PCRs, right? All different kinds of scientific methods, forensic applications, blah blah blah. But this one here, what we're most concerned about is the infectious disease applications. So yeah, and I highlighted this because it says the human immunodeficiency virus is a difficult target to find and eradicate. Yes. And do you know why it is? It's because of the spike proteins that it has. And these certain spike proteins are on this specific virus that we have. And that's what makes it very elusive and even more hard to test. And, that's why they're so confused about it. So, limitations about this test. One major limitation of PCR is that prior information about the target sequence is necessary in order to generate the primers that will allow its selective amplification. And what they mean by that, it's the genome has to be sequenced like what China had, right? China had it and they shared it like instantly with everybody. Like they were saying it was the fastest ever anybody's ever kind of done that. And I don't know, there's those skeptical things around that area too, right? But how they did it so fast. And but anyway, yeah, so that's one of the major limitations is you have to have the target sequence and be able to generate these primers. And primers are basically like these little targets that you're going to look for, right? And yeah, you must have that in order to, it's like, you need a map to see where you're going kind of thing, right? If you're in a strange place and you got all these roads and there's no, let's say there's no road signs. Yeah, you definitely need a map, right? So another limitation of PCR testing is that even the smallest amount of contaminating DNA can be amplified, resulting in misleading and ambiguous results. So what that means is that it's so sensitive that even if there's other things around, it can amplify that as well. Any contaminants, any laboratory contaminants for sure, but then also bodily contaminants. They're, because everybody's body's different, right? So we don't know, it could amplify all kinds of different things, right? It's not just going to amplify this one thing. So they have to know what to look for as well, right? Reagents should be dispensed into single-use aggregates. Pipettes and disposable plungers and extra long pipettes should be used. Yeah, so it's just kind of like a laboratory safety thing. Like, yeah, it's kind of saying it's very sensitive, right? You can't cross-contaminate this because you will have negative results. And it's considering the circumstances and the pressure everyone's under, and it's a lot. Like people make mistakes when they're under pressure. Most people do. Some people crunch, some people fold, right? But it's hard to say how people react, just being stressed out, doing tests after tests, and like it would never stop at this point. All the labs that we have available to test this are fully functional. Like they're going to capacity everywhere, really. So it's bound to have mistakes, right? We're bound to have mistakes. Yeah. And not only that, this is a new virus, right? So like we don't know a whole lot about it. And now we just had a big, hiccup with the and here's the internal email from Claxon Global, people who make this specific reagent. Key diagnostic tests might be missing many coronavirus cases. And here we got the source, Claxon Global. This was on Saturday, February the 8th. and it is regarding false negatives on the nucleic acid testing. Yeah, so fears tests used to confirm new cases are failing to catch large numbers of people. There's growing concern that the NAT is producing large numbers of false negatives. So, yeah, and a clinical director from the Chinese Academy of Medical Sciences said one characteristic of the virus is that not all those infected return positive tests. Even patients who definitely have the disease only come back positive 30 to 50% of the time. Testing throat swabs from potentially infected people also returns a lot of false negatives. A doctor in the imaging department of another major Wuhan hospital who spoke under condition of anonymity told Klaxon that previously some patients whose CT scans clearly showed signs of viral infection, but the nucleic acid tests were showing negative. And we know that because of the doctor. All right, the doctor that spoke out, Li Wenliang, and he was arrested, right? And he caught this and he died. He tested 4 times negative up until 12 hours before he died. 4 times negative. And like, he's a doctor. He probably had the best of care, and his tests were probably, I don't know, but he tested negative right up 4 times right before 12 hours before he died, somewhere around there. Like the last test that they tested for tested positive, and then he died. So they don't know what this is. They don't know how stealthy it is. But it's stealthy. You can almost guarantee that, right? It's tough. It's tough to find this thing, and it's tough to detect it. And that's a down factor in of itself. And then now we have, we're just going to amplify the whole process because it's spreadable. You can spread this and not have any symptoms. You can just be feeling healthy as a horse, going to the gym, doing whatever you do, out drinking or whatever your thing is, right? You're not feeling anything from this, but you're being contagious and spreading it. Not, you wouldn't know you have it. Most people don't. And when they're always talking about mild cases, that is extremely worrisome, because it's going to be even harder to detect. Because most people aren't just going to go run into the hospital because they're feeling a little groggy someday, or they're just feeling a little bit off. But they still might go out and do their normal things, and it creeps like like a mild flu or something. You wouldn't, and it's flu season. Like it is. It's flu season, and they're saying it's the worst flu season in decades. What the hell? It's impossible to see this thing, right? It is, and for detection measures and ways that we're supposed to be able to isolate this and track the people who come in contact with it, and now we have another another whole. There's so many variables in the data. Even catching it in the most accurate and transparent way possible, it's going to be flawed. It doesn't matter. It is on this scale. So, especially during this time with the pressure and all the things surrounding the circumstances. All right, so it's a lot of variables that come into play. It's not just like, not as easy as you can just think about it like happening, and it's not. There's people involved in this process, right? And people are humans. All right, so mistakes happen, but like it's critical errors that is leading to critical errors in our numbers, which then is in turn leading to critical errors in our forecasts and our data collection. to figure out like where this thing is going, how bad it is. They're saying it's bad right now, like they are. They're saying, well, you know what? Actually, it's the worst we've seen, and that's based off numbers that are not accurate. It's really not, and it's not on the low side. You can guarantee that. I will bet my two left nuts. I mean, I don't got two left nuts, but it is. It's on the higher side of things, right? It's worse than what's being reported. You can guarantee it. And I'm sorry about, I'm not trying to freak anybody out, but it's information that you need to get. And I've been stressing this so much. And a lot of people don't want to process it either, right? A lot of people don't. They don't know what to do, or they're just like, fuck it, what am I supposed to do? Put their hands up in the air. It's like, well, fuck, if it's coming, it's coming. Well, no. If there's a transfer truck barreling down the fucking highway at you, and you're standing in the middle of the road, in the path of the truck, you're just gonna be like, fuck it, it's coming anyway. May as well just stand here. I got another couple of minutes. Should be here soon. Right? It's like the same logic. Like, take some preparations as much as you can. Do whatever you can. But we know there's some crazy shit, and I want to show you guys some crazy shit. Okay, now that we're speaking about the virus and it's I'm cursing about it. Let's talk. Oh wait, let's go into some good news first. So we got some university out of Austin, Texas, and they have a breakthrough in the research. They are the first ones to do a 3D atomic scale of this virus, which is actually groundbreaking. It's huge, because now it's actually, they can see everything. It's like wearing your sunglasses in a dark room. But now you took your sunglasses off and you can see a little bit better. Kind of analogy. I'm terrible at analogies, but they have a better insight. They can see this thing better. They understand it better now because of this. It's big steps. It is. But it's still a big step. It's a right step, and it's a big step in the right direction. But let's not over. We just received the instructions. We don't got the parts to put anything together yet. So yeah, they're the first ones that were able to do this just because of the lab settings that they had and their past studies, and they've always had big funding, right? They've had big funding at this laboratory, and they're like pretty high tech in this certain area. And basically, mapping this part of the spike protein is the essential step. So researchers around the world can develop vaccines and antiviral drugs to combat the virus. And then the paper was published Wednesday, February 19th in the Journal of Science, so it is a published paper. And then they kind of, they got word that this was a coronavirus, and they said, hey, well, we felt we had to jump on this because we could be one of the first ones to get the structure. And they knew exactly what mutations to put into this because they've already shown these mutations work in a bunch of other coronaviruses that they've been studying. So they're kind of knowledgeable already. They got a head start on this, right? And they're helping. So that's big. And their next plans are to use the molecule to pursue another line of attack against the virus using the molecule as a probe. And when they talk about probes, like they can isolate these little probes. It's like little detectors, right? Like if you're sticking a probe into like, a turkey probe or something, like a you ever got abducted by aliens? You ever got probed? It's kind of like that. But anyways, it's like a signal, right? It's like a little signal, and it detects these chemical changes, and they're able to find out a little bit more about it. It's a lot of science. But yeah, you can see they're working there. They got all kinds of like little knobs there, and they're turning knobs, and They look like they're busy. So, I'm sure they're smart. I'm sure they are. But they look like they're pretty smart. So, what else? This is the study itself. This is actually, it's just passed through these guys, but this was the study that they did about the glycoprotein, and we do kind of have like a blow up of this. So what they did was they were able to, come on now, hey, every time I click on it, it goes forwards. Anyways, I can't explain it to you really because I don't understand it myself, so I'm not even gonna try. But it's just a cool picture. But the structural comparison is what they're comparing these different triggers and I don't know, like primers and all this kind of different stuff to try and see if there's a way that they can interrupt the communication process between the virus and our cells, so it can't communicate with it, right? So it can't infect our cells, and it's all good stuff. It is, because it's a roadmap now. Yeah, and well, this is kind of older, but 780 million. Wow, 780 million people, and you can guarantee it's not great. This is an older video, but like, terrible situation, right? Like, people are just like, the doctors and everybody are infected there. We know China has officially said over 1,700 healthcare's infected. But if they officially said 1,700, I really don't trust that number. Honestly, I don't. And I got good goddamn reason. But, it's sad, man. These guys didn't have a heads up. Their government fucking backdoored them. Like, you can see, like, they're, like, I don't know, this person's down anyways, and this guy, or this person, was trying to, like, open him up and, like, remove the, like, mask, and you can tell that this person was like, no, don't do that. Like, don't take off his mask, but at the same time, it's like, he's in medical distress, right? So he's kind of needs oxygen, and wow, it's a rough call, right? Like, they're just dropping. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Is it the flu? Doesn't look like it. So, another big headline out of China. Film director and his family, his whole family, dies from coronavirus in China. Chinese film director, his sister, mother, father have all died from the coronavirus, and the latest high-profile victims of the disease in Wuhan City at the center of the outbreak. So 55, and his parents died over. His parents died over the previous 2 weeks after the family spent days together in self-quarantine in the Chinese. Yeah, wow. Right? Like, it's this thing is viciously deadly. I don't care. China's numbers and what we're seeing, like mild cases, yes, they are mild cases, but I firmly believe that this thing creeps for quite a while. I do. I call me crazy. Maybe 2 or 3 months. I don't know. But I think it does have a latency period. A big one. So, that's just my opinion. We will find out in a few weeks if people in the United States all of a sudden start dropping, right? Cause it's been a while. So another thing I'm going to go into, this here is kind of important, and he's explaining. This video was filmed on January 26th. And he's calling out the local news. He's actually got a lot of videos. I support this guy. He's got a friggin' ton of followers, and he's getting some flack from YouTube. He has to put up like another channel because he did get issues or whatever. I don't know, but anyways, I think the guy's legit. I really do. But he ended up going to a hotel somewhere in Singapore or Thailand or like outside. He got outside of China just before like all the stuff was going down, right? And he's at this hotel now and he's doing these updates. It's kind of a long video, but I'm not going to make you watch it. I'm just going to show you how it unfolded in Wuhan, or how I firmly believe that it most likely went down. And it was, you know, the local officials tried to cover it up and tried to get a hold of it, and they didn't. And by the time they alerted Shanghai, or not Shanghai, but oh my goodness, Beijing, the capital, the proper authorities. Anyways, so yeah, let's just listen to what this guy has to say. I'll turn it down a little bit because like I'm sure you all don't speak Mandarin. So, but anyway, I'm gonna go and have a quick cigarette and watch the subtitles and, you know, take it for what you will, right? And my purpose behind showing this video is because there's a lot more people infected with this around the world than it's being reported. Am I skeptic? Yes, I am. So just watch.
이래 가지고 알린 거야.
实际真实的情况是18号之前武汉地区已经失控了啊。
사실 확실한 거는 18일 전이면 딱 일주일 전이네. 18일 전에 이미 우한은 통제 불능 상태가 되었었대. 일주일 전.
失控了讲的是这个病患啊，病患已经失控了。从
통제 불능의 뜻은 말 그대로 이 바이러스가 통제 불능이 된 상태래.
18号算到22号封城，武汉每天向全国输送人口每天平均达到30万啊。
이게 미친 거야. 18일 날 이미 통제 불능인 상태인데 24일 날 도시를 봉쇄했어요. 18일부터 24일까지 요 기간 동안 우한에서 매일 내보낸 인구수가 30만 명이야. 하루에 30만 명씩 전국으로 사람을 내보냈어. 그러면 일주일이면 몇 명이죠? 210만 명이야. 210만 명이 이미 우한에서 나가버린 거지, 이 며칠 동안. 근데 210만 명, 방금 만약에 한 명이 바이러스가 걸리면 그 14명한테 영향을 준다 그랬잖아요. 210만 명 곱하기 14 하면 이거는 물론 그 정도까지는 안 되겠지. 당연히 그렇게 다 걸리진 않았겠죠. 그 맨날 나갔던 30만 명이 다 걸리진 않았을 거니까 당연한 거지. 허위 사실 그런데 저는 지금 이거를 이렇다라고 여러분들한테 전달하는 게 아니에요. 지금 중국의 인터넷에 떠돌아다니는 여러 가지 뭐 중국 정부에서 나온 소식들, 뉴스사에서 나온 소식들, 해신들, 외신들, 개인 언론가들 이런 얘기하는 거를 여러분들한테 전달 드리는 거지. 저는 계속 말하고 있어요. 이게 진짜일 수도 있고, 하지만 우리가 의심도 한번 해봐야 될 수도 있다. 이 얘기를 전 계속 하고 있습니다. 자, 이 사람이 하는 말은 일단 18일부터 24일까지 하루에 우한에서 30만 명이 우한을 벗어나고 전국으로 이렇게 나갔는데 실제 수는 이거보다 훨씬 많을 거다라고 얘기를 해요.
우한 总共向全国输送了150万人。这个时候其实武汉肺炎已经在武汉全面爆发。
자, 이 사람이 하는 말은 우한이 아마 150만 명을 전국으로 이렇게 내보냈을 텐데 이 시기에는 이미 우한의 바이러스는 이미 통제 불능이었고 터질 만큼 터졌다라고 얘기를 하고 있네요. 여러분들 잠복 기간이 7일 내지 10일이래.
我就把这件事情再续上去续上去。那么再加上9号到15号，武汉100万大学生放暑假。
자, 그리고 이 사람도 이게 추정을 하는 게 추측을 해보면 일단 9일부터 15일까지 우한에 있는 100만 명의 대학생이 방학 기간이래.
武汉总共向其他地区输送了250万人。
그렇다면 이렇게 따지면 우한은 총 외지로 1월 9일까지 합치면 250만 명이 나간 거야, 우한에서.
这就是目前的形势目前的形势就是
이게 지금 현재의 돌아가는 상황이래요, 지금. 이런 거를 중국의 그런 대형 뉴스사에서는 이런 걸 절대 얘기 안 해. 왜냐하면 국민들이 불안해지니까. 공산당은 이런 안 좋은 게 있으면 무조건 누르려 그래요. 무조건 누르려 그래. 아무 일 없었듯이.
寻求治疗。
자, 비록 지금 우한이랑 그다음에 우한 주위에 8개 도시가 다 봉쇄되었지만 지금 그 안에서도 발열을 하는 환자들이 다른 도시로 가서 도움을 청하고 있는 상황이다. 와, 지금 2차 변이는 왔대 이미. 2차 변이는 진짜 생명을 위협하는 굉장히 위험한 상황이라는데 3차 변이가 지금 오고 있다고요? 그 얘기 어디서 나왔어? 3차 변이까지 간다고? 1차 변이는 치료할 수 있는데 2차 변이는 치명적이래. 그리고 그 현지의 간염도 이거는 피할 수 없게 될 것이다 라고 예측을 하네요. 근데 이거는 허위 사실이 아닌 게 그냥 상식적으로 생각해도 그래. 도시를 봉쇄했어. 근데 그 도시에 어떤 사람들이 열이 나. 여러분들, 나라도 만약에 내가 그 도시에 봉쇄돼 있어. 근데 내가 열이 나. 근데 이건 죽을 수도 있어. 근데 도시를 못 나가. 난 무슨 수를 써서라도 나갈걸? 사람은 살아야지. 거기는 아마 아프면 다 탈출을 하게 될걸요? 그러면 이제 주변 도시로 가는 거 아니야. 그럼 주변 도시에 자연스럽게 이게 이전이 되겠죠, 바이러스가? 그러니까 이건 허위 사실일 수가 없어. 그리고 이 사람 예측은 이 주변의 요런 뭐 상하이나 장샤나 항저우 뭐 이런 도시가 여기도 이제 좀 극단적으로 도시를 봉쇄하지 않으면 아마 큰 재앙을 피하기 쉽지 않을 거다라고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
Yeah. Okay, my apologies. I was, yeah. Anyway. Alright. Back at this. Okay. What the hell are they talking about here? Trump impeachment. Fuck. But anyway, yeah, that video. Okay, and we're gonna have a video day today. So a key thing, I guess, before we go into this video, and we have to look at this. I don't care if you're skeptical about it. I'm gonna talk about it. You can't stop me. So this report came out. And it was kind of like wrapped off the internet, and kind of in a mysterious crowd around it. But it won't highlight for me. Well, go fuck you. So the spike protein, right? That's basically what I'm concerned about here. Okay, like these guys here in where was it? Yeah, from the University of Texas. What they did was they mapped the spike protein. All right, that's what they did. They mapped it, and this is what everybody's really fascinated about with this virus. And research speaks for itself. I don't know. Nobody wants to say, well, it came from a lab because, well, holy fuck, that just ignited a fucking political firestorm. Already on top of shit show level event. So it's a very touchy subject. But this paper comes out and says, hey, this virus, and by the way, this paper was done by a group of bioinfo mathematicians, and these guys know what they're doing, and it was from the the Indian Institute of Technology in New Delhi, and also the University of New Delhi in New Delhi. And it's a legit study, and it was the first of its kind that came out. And the story behind it is, in India, when this came off, when this report came out, and these guys did that, it was a huge break. It was probably like the biggest breakthrough of like their ever career. Like, it's probably the biggest thing they've ever done. Right? So it was probably like a big thing. And there was a news editor who was a public figure on Twitter who posted this to his Twitter account and was kind of like, hey, look what our scientists found. It's the first of its kind and blah, 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 kind of being like, our technology's great. And it got shared like a ton of times. And anyways, it just disappeared really quick. And everybody was like, oh, yeah, no, it's fake. And don't worry about it, it's not real. But then another one comes out. And this one is, in fact, peer-reviewed. And I think they took this down, actually. But anyway, here's another one. And it's legit. It is legit, and they took it down again, but, I kind of still got it up here. But it's science interfering with politics right now. So what are they doing? They're shadowing the science. Why? To avoid a bigger political shit show than it's already happening right now because of this. Right? All the stocks and everybody's like, no matter what you think, there's companies, big ones, suffering, and the most notable one was Apple. Apple took a 5% hit the other day. And a 5% hit for Apple equals $72 billion. Yeah. So you can bet that there's forces at play here beyond your imagine. This is the top of the top. People are involved at this now. Because this is, it's a common enemy. This threatens everyone, especially the global elite and their, prized thrones of ivory. So you can guarantee that a lot of the information is going to get, fluffed off. But you got two papers confirming this, and what also confirms it, okay, this protein specifically, it uses a type of infectivity that's called fusion. That's how it infects us. That's what's so special about this protein. Now, it's not HIV. It's not HIV. What they did is they took a part of this, which is the glycoprotein, and that's basically, the message and communication center of a spike protein. Right? On these spike proteins, they're like little feelers, and when they bump into your cell, if the correct things are there in place, and it can infect you, right? But this protein is highly infectious, and we know that because HIV is highly infectious, and once you have it, you get it, right? It's this protein is actually highly studied among scientists because it's unique in its characteristics. And there's no other virus that has this specific protein. It's unique to HIV. HIV-2 is a different. There's HIV-1 and HIV-2, but HIV-1 is actually more infectious, and the reason being glycoprotein 120. And why does all that matter? Well, because this protein is unique on HIV alone. No other coronavirus has this protein, but this one does. The nCoV or the COVID or the SARS-2 or the whatever you want to call it, the Black Swan. Yeah, really. So this is the actual paper of the second one, and it's just all science, right? But it's legit. Okay, so how else do I know that the protein is in there? Well, because in mainstream media, they're using HIV medication, Remdesivir or something like that. And they're using this HIV medication because it's effective in disrupting communication with this glycoprotein in our cells. Because this protein in itself is highly adaptable. That's why we haven't found a cure for AIDS, right? Think of this protein as like the claws, right? And the virus is just piggybacking off this thing. All right, the virus does its thing, but it's useless without this protein. So this protein's floating along, and it grabs a hold of your cell. Or actually, it's got to identify that, it's a specific cell that it can actually infect. And HIV can infect more cells than most viruses. Why? Because of this specific protein. It has more communication capabilities. It can interact with more cells, and it can interpret, the language. So that makes the connection. It hooks onto your cell, and it grabs onto there, and it uses this process called fusion. And it's different than this other process of, I think it's endocytosis. And yeah, and it's unique to this specific protein, to this glycoprotein. And that's why it's so odd that it's on a coronavirus. That's like I don't know, putting an airplane engine in a car and being like, no, that's supposed to be there. That's how it's made. Obviously not. Like, it would stick out like a sore thumb, right? This is like, there's my analogies again. But really, it's, they know it's not supposed to be there, right? So let's just go take a look at this video that I found thanks to the World Wide Web. And I've saved it numerous times because it will probably disappear. This is a video. Okay, they say it, okay, actually a little bit more. This specific virus, right? They figure it's from horseshoe bats. Okay, so let's just go take a look at before this got to, this is Daily Mail. It's it's kind of like secondary, third. Anyways, it's a news source, and they don't just print garbage, but it's they're printing this as well, right? So it says, first coronavirus patient had no connection to Wuhan seafood market. So patient 0, the first one that was ever documented, had no connection to the seafood market, which means, it probably didn't come from out of the seafood market, where they said it originated, from people selling bats. But what's really interesting is The revelation made by BBC echoed with the information disclosed in a previous medical research, which has prompted Chinese people to speculate about the possibility that the source, trying to figure out where the source came from, right? Where did it come from? So over the weekend, a mysterious virus lab became the center of Chinese social media after online accounts suggested that the lethal virus had come from there. Allegations that the state-run institute has denied and branded as rumors. Beijing's experts claim that the deadly coronavirus outbreak began in Hunan Seafood Wholesale Market in Wuhan City. They believe the virus was passed on to humans through wildlife, sold as food. So, the virus, formerly known as COVID-19, has killed blah 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 blah. Who cares? We don't know that number. So, according to public notices released by Wuhan Health Commission, the first virus patient appeared on December 8th. Most of the initial patients were linked to the seafood market. But BBC reported that very first sufferer, also known as Patient Zero, was a pensioner in his 70s who was bedbound to a stroke and suffered from dementia. So he probably wasn't like out, this guy's bedridden. So anyway, the unknown man fell ill on December 1st, a week earlier than official claims, and had not been to the seafood market prior to falling ill, as doctors told BBC. Director of Intensive Care Units of Wuhan told the news outlet yesterday that the pensioner had to stay home due to his health condition and had no connection with the seafood market. So, Professor Wu is among a group of experts who last month published a bombshell study on peer-reviewed medical journal The Lancet, revealing critical information that had never been released by the Chinese government. The symptom onset date of the first patient identified was December 1st. None of his family members developed fever or any respiratory symptoms, the report said. The team surveyed the first 41 coronavirus patients who fell ill between December 1st and January 2nd and discovered that 14 out of the 41 patients were not linked to the market. Notably, among the first 4 cases treated between December 1st and December 11th, only one of them had connection to the market. Not good statistics, really. To point that, that's where it started, because it doesn't seem to have any connection, most of these people as well, right? There's not really any solid evidence that they are connected. So, an infectious disease specialist at Georgetown University said it was possible that the virus spread silently between residents of Wuhan as early as November, if not earlier, before the cluster of cases from the market was discovered in late December. The virus came into that marketplace before it came out of that marketplace, Lucy says, and she's an infectious disease specialist at Georgetown University. So, quote, "It now seems clear that the seafood market is not the only origin of the virus," he wrote, "but to be honest, we still do not know where the virus came from now." And so this one here, a big The Wuhan Institute of Virology, their only level 4 laboratory which is capable of working with these deadly pathogens, denies any claims in a statement and said it had not been working in another province and never been diagnosed with coronavirus. A day later, a Weibo user who claimed to be a researcher at the institute named Chen Quanklala, I can't pronounce that. He accused the institute's director of leaking the virus. The institute said the allegation was fabricated and that the web user had posed as, somebody that worked there, and police stressed that the blogger was based out of China. So the director at the Wuhan Institute of Virology said earlier this month that the coronavirus is nature's punishment for humans' uncivilized life habits. That's what the director of the Wuhan Virology said, quote. And he says, quote, "The 2019 coronavirus is nature's punishment for humans' uncivilized life habits." Wow, that's a direct quote. Anyways, he urged Chinese authorities to launch an official investigation into the matter about, this so-called person claiming that he works there and saying that they leaked it. So yeah, and this here's a picture of the market, but there was no bats sold at the market, and that was confirmed by multiple sources. So experts at South China University of Technology said in a paper that the Wuhan Center for Disease Control could have spawned the contagion, which means it could have got out from this Center for Disease Control, which was just really down the street from the seafood market. And also, the hospital was just down the road as well, where this first broke out. So possible origins of coronavirus penned by scholars and claimed that the Wuhan Center for Disease Control kept disease-ridden animals in laboratories, including 605 bats, which they said, it did come from bats. It's got bat DNA in it. We know it has bat DNA. But bat DNA is vital for it to be able to infect humans, because bats are mammals, and they're the only flying mammals. Just a little bit of science that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But anyway, they're mammals, and we're mammals, right? So it has to have the same language or the same code for a virus to infect us. A mammal, it can't infect like a reptile kind of thing. It's like a different code. It's a different language on a genetic scale. So back to this. The paper also mentioned that bats, which are linked to the coronavirus, once attacked a researcher and blood of the bat was on his skin. It said genome sequences from the patients were 96 to 89% identical to the bat CoV ZC45 coronavirus originally found in the rhino bats, or horseshoe bats. And that's a, that's horseshoe bats. Okay, you'll have to remember that. I'm not going to tell you why. It described how the only native bats are found around 600 miles away from the seafood market, and that the probability of bats flying from where they were, from their natural habitat, to the city was very minimal. The report, titled "The Possible Origins of 2019 NCOV Coronavirus," was originally uploaded to ebook and audiobook service Scribed and has been deleted. But I have copies. Copies upon copies. Okay, so another video. And you know what it's about? It's actually about the researcher at the Wuhan Institute of Virology and his assistant going out and collecting these bats. And it's a Chinese broadcast production, right? It's they're showing their marvels, let's say, right? Boasting about their abilities. So while you guys watch that, because I watched it a couple of dozen times, I'm gonna go for a cigarette. But it's super interesting, and if you want the link for it, I will put it in the description, because actually, yeah, while it's still up, if it's still up, I'll see what I can do. Okay, hold on just 1 second here. I'm not sure why the audio. Maybe it's just my audio. Is anybody else's audio not working? Am I just drunk? I'm terrible at analogies, but they have a better insight. I hope you guys are hearing the audio on that, but it's only subtitled anyway, so. I don't know why there's no sound on that. I usually had sound. Weird. I don't know why. Give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can get the sound because it does it does add to it. I don't know why.
蝙蝠体内病毒较为丰富，可以找到绝大多数的人类致病
There we go.
狂犬病毒、SARS、埃博拉病毒。就此，蝙蝠栖息的洞穴成为我们的主战场。潮湿、黑暗、孤独，蝙蝠的生活环境都在人迹罕至的洞穴里。但只有这样的环境， 才能找到最理想的病毒媒介样本。
最安全了。这里的蝙蝠它主要是局头蝠和服翼蝠。
如果说我们的皮肤裸露，很容易接触到蝙蝠的排泄无管的物体，所以说这个风险比较大。
要探寻出一个蝙蝠族群和病毒的共生关系，往往在山洞里要住上几天，没有手机信号，没有补给，是真的害怕，怕感染，怕迷路。因为害怕，所以我每一步都很小心。越是害怕，就把每一个细节做好。因为你发现病毒的过程，也是最容易被病毒感染的过程。这是一场没有硝烟的战斗。
一定要把它拉开，就是这样。一定要把这个洞封死。出来一个，哺乳动物里面唯一能够飞翔的一个动物。标本它把网抓破了以后，我们来做采集标本，然后做它携带的一个病毒的研究。好，发现一个蜱虫，这是长腹硬蜱，非常特殊的一种蜱，别的地方抓不到的哇！今天真是收获非常大。
这是一条未知的路，就像蝙蝠。
That was short lived.
这是长腹硬蜱
Okay,
非常特殊
wait.
的一种蜱，别的地方抓不到的哇！今天真是
I think it's around here. Sorry about that.
这是一条未知
Okay. Where is this? Yeah, around here.
地是我的实验室。
That was short lived. Okay, wait.
媒介样本之一。
I think it's around here. Sorry about that.
生活的环境对人
Okay.
类来说非常恶劣，
Where is this?
是一个巨大
Yeah, around here.
在已知的生物中，蝙蝠体内病毒较为丰富，可以找到绝大多数的人类致病病毒，狂犬病毒、SARS、埃博拉病毒。就此，蝙蝠栖息的洞穴成为我们的主战场。
These are the guys who work at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
潮湿 SARS，
And this is their mission when they go collect bats to get viruses,
蝙蝠的生活环境
which a lot of people think came from
极寒之的洞穴，
man-made.
但只有这样的环境，才能找到最理想的病毒媒介样本。
最安全了。这里的蝙蝠它主要是局头蝠和服翼蝠。
如果说我们的皮肤裸露，很容易接触到蝙蝠的排泄无管的物体，所以说这个风险比较大。
要探寻出一个蝙蝠族群和病毒的共生关系，往往在山洞里要住上几天，没有手机信号，没有补给，是真的害怕，怕感染，怕迷路。因为害怕，所以我每一步都很小心。越是害怕，就把每一个细节做好。因为你发现病毒的过程，也是最容易被病毒感染的过程。这是一场没有硝烟的战斗。
一定要把它拉开，就是这样。一定要把这个洞封死。出来一个，哺乳动物里面唯一能够飞翔的一个动物。标本它把网抓破了以后，我们来做采集标本，然后做它携带的一个病毒的研究。好，发现一个蜱虫，这是长腹硬蜱，非常特殊的一种蜱，别的地方抓不到的哇！今天真是收获非常大。
这是一条未知的路，就像蝙蝠生存的洞穴，深不见底。你望着深渊，但是并不知道是什么也在望着自己。
这东西是别人不好替代的。
身在其中，
做任何事情，你只要自己。
我学会了对自己的审视，克服了恐惧。
有时候需要家里的人来支持，习惯了，挺有意思的。
路虽然不好走，但必须学会在迷茫中坚持自己的方向。在过去的10多年里，我们走遍了湖北的每一个角落，探索了几十个没有开发的洞穴，研究病毒媒介300多种。但我却希望，这些病毒样本只是作为科研而留存，永远都不会有。
I'm gonna pause that for a sec. And he hopes that this will only be used for scientific research and never be used in real life. And he knows how bad these things are if they can get out, right? And this here is related because this is the researcher at the Wuhan, sorry about that, the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Right in, like, just kilometers up the road from where this all began. He's a researcher, that guy.
有应用的一天，因为人类需要的不仅是疫苗，更是一份来自大战的守护。
We'll just pause here for a second. Nearly 2,000 types of viruses have been discovered by the Chinese CDC authorities in the last 12 years. Only 2,084 types are known worldwide. China discovered like almost all of them. Why? Yes, they're taking the lead. Let's just see. China's. Let's just search. What's it called? Oh my goodness. Do you know how long China has been researching viral weapons? You wouldn't believe me if I told you. China was reported to have an active biological weapons program in the 1980s. Do you think they just stopped? Because, you know, the powers that be found out? No. Since the 80s, they've been studying bioweaponry in their laboratories. Alright? That's major. and they're proud to admit it. Right here. Just watch this video. China is taking the lead in the world field of basic research of virus. And if you haven't, yeah, it's not saying anything either way, saying that yes, it did come out of the lab or no, it didn't come out of the lab. But there is a lot of scientific proof now suggesting that this is not natural. So where else would it come from if it didn't come from nature? Well, it must be man-made, right? But what is it? Is it like something that is in a research phase that got out? You know, is it something like just, like a bat, like, or was this like an actual viral bio weapon that got out? You know, if a disease just happened to escape out of the library, the bio center, well, that might be a little different than, if it was actually a designed bio weapon leaking out, right? But regardless, this thing is batshit crazy. Scientists are completely baffled by it. They're like, what the hell? Everything they've used so far doesn't work against this. Everything. No matter what you hear, but people saying, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. No. Good news stories. But unfortunately, there's no good news about this story. And these numbers, I don't even look at those numbers anymore, but it's funny. The US has been at 15 for like a week. But according to sources in China and travel records, people were flying in and out of there all the time, going to the States, going everywhere. All the time. And the worst thing about this is that it's very sneaky. You don't know if you have this. You could just have the sniffles or, sore throat or a cough, and, you might not think nothing of it. Most people probably aren't even following it enough to even consider it. Right? They're just doing their daily thing, let alone they're just spreading it. Alright, not everybody's going to go to the hospital to get detected with this, and especially if it's flu season. I mean, what are the hospitals going to do? Test everybody and do a nucleic acid test on every person that comes in the door? That'll work for about a whole day. Seriously. What happened to China? The whole healthcare system got overrun because they let it go and they let it go. And when they decided to do something about it, well, it was really too late. Like, their window was already shut when they decided, hey, let's do something. Yeah. Really, it's useless. This thing, I believe, is way more infectious than you could ever possibly imagine. I mean, like, ridiculously infectious. I just have that kind of feeling, because there was a doctor at a Wuhan who posted a video and said one person can infect up to 14 people. And I heard that from another source. Totally unrelated. But it's not unrelated. They both said 1 in 14. Or one person can infect 14. Can you imagine? Would they? No, they wouldn't tell us that. Of course not. Nope. You can't panic the public. And now China switched back for some reason to the most expensive. Like, I don't get it. It's all shrouded in just a lot of fuckery. It really is. Like, first they go this way of testing, and then they go to this way, back and this way, and then they're back to this, like... It's unbelievable. And if you don't see it, I'm sorry, you're not going to see it coming. And my points of making all these videos are just to, like, give people information. To say, hey, it's not so far-fetched. Because there's a lot of shady shit going on around here. This thing is probably most likely man-made. And we're just going to have to accept that fact. It's unreal. It's so easy for a mistake to be made. One of these researchers gets infected. So easy. It's human error, right? It's Murphy's Law, actually. And the law is, what can go wrong will. On a big enough timeline, it will. It's just probability. If it can happen, it will. And I think it did. But I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to start up another video after this. I'm just munching away now. But yeah. If you're watching, sub. I will be starting back up again shortly. If you're interested in following along. See you in a few.